It's we have enough time, I think.
Hello,
Brief.
everybody, and here we are. We're going to discuss Max's childhood. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be talking about Omniverse XR, and I know a lot of you guys are really excited about this. And if you haven't had a chance to check this out, do it. It is a whole bunch of fun to play with. So we have with us today Omar and Max that are on the Omniverse XR team. And of course, before we get into it, I want to introduce my co-host, Edmar. Edmar, how's it going?
Good, good. I'm super excited about it. This feels like we've had so many requests for this tech and this live stream, so this is going to be a lot of fun. We're very lucky to get Max and Omar's time today, so super exciting. So and thanks again, Wendy, for setting up that cool template for the waiting screen, and now we can kind of chat with us a little bit while we're getting ready. So a couple of quick things. So for anyone jumping in who's not familiar with NVIDIA Omniverse, and maybe it's the first time you're hearing about it or seeing about it, it's NVIDIA's open platform for real-time simulation and collaboration. So it connects a full ecosystem of tools from other great companies. It enables them to work together, either collaborate with yourself using different tools, or working with other people and teams or individuals. So it's a pretty exciting platform. And we are going to kind of dive into different parts of the platform all through these different live streams we do, and take your questions. We have a Discord server as well, so feel free to come on the Discord, say hi, chat with other users, chat with the dev team, and of course our forums, which Wendy manages. But before we get started, let's do a couple of quick small announcements. One is that we are in the swing of the Made in Machinima contest. Super exciting contest for people who love working with Machinima, and for those who just love watching Machinima. Omniverse Machinima is a awesome way to kind of put together assets in a very simple way to make your own movie film. So it could be used for game trailers, movie trailers, any kind of short film you want to make or long film. And the current contest basically challenges people to come up with a small short film using assets that we provide from different game publishers that contributed, or your own assets. So it's pretty exciting. That closes out at the end of June, so plenty of time to get started, even if you haven't done anything with that.
You can make a short movie in a little bit of time with Machinima. It is possible.
Yeah, and I've seen the results that came in, like the submissions that came in for the first few days, and they were all hilarious. This is for real. It's a really nice way even to just like lay out, even if you're not used to sharing drafts. This is actually a really hilarious way to share drafts because somehow there's a hack in the brain. Like people get it. People get Machinima better than they get like any other type of rough draft. I find it hilarious.
It is. It's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to see some of these submissions. So people will start tagging their submissions as they finish them with hashtag Made in Machinima. So if you do a search for that, hopefully you'll be able to grab some popcorn and watch some of the submissions. I know all of us are super excited. We can't wait. And actually, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Benny D come on, who's going to tentatively. So hopefully it all works out. But we're talking to him now to come on June 8th. And he's going to actually show off one of his submissions. I think he's actually doing more than one submission, which you can do. So he's going to show off workflow in one of his submissions and show how he goes about it. So it'll be a great time for anyone to kind of learn about it and still give you a few weeks after that to work on your own submission. So that's our current contest and some great prizes there. And then also this week, as everyone in this room knows, NVIDIA has been hanging out at Computex. Lots of cool stuff happening, made some cool announcements. We have a great forum post going over those announcements. So if you go to our forums, you'll see it. It's on the Discord also. But one of the things that's happening is actually in several hours tonight, Richard Karras will be speaking about digital twins
cool.
at Computex. So that's going to be a great presentation. So if you go online to search for NVIDIA Computex, you'll see the schedule. But that's later on this evening. So anyway, so let's get started. You guys actually had a session back at GTC, which seems like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. How to design collaborative AR and VR worlds in Omniverse. Is that important session to understand what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so this was essentially like a soft, introduction to the Omniverse XR app. I said it was coming soon at that point, and I sort of showed the highlights. So that session goes a little bit in depth to some of the topics that we'll be talking about today. So if you want to get it in the proper order, you should watch that session. The slides are available online. They link to a bunch of like older tech slides that we had from previous GTCs to talk about like how we're doing foveation and things like that. But we're going to cover some of this today, just to give you a highlight of what you should expect if you're trying Omniverse XR out.
Awesome. I'm going to actually put that link in our chat now so people can click on that.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. So with that being said, Omer, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you? Why are you here? What do you do at NVIDIA? Are you supposed to be here right now? And then
Are you
introduce
allowed?
your colleague.
Never heard of this guy. Yeah, okay. Hi. So my name is Omer. I have been at NVIDIA for 6 years, but I've been doing VR for slightly longer than that. I started out in VR in 2013. And before that, I was a director and a visual effects artist. In between of those, I kind of burned out and studied mathematics. But yeah, so I'm working in VR. I think the notable claim to fame I've had claims to fame, I guess, I've had are the world's first commercial room scale VR experience. That was an ad for Merrill for Nike in 2014, I think, just before the Oculus DK2 came out. So we figured out how to do a room scale experience. And I worked in a bunch of I worked at Framestore and Fake Love before joining NVIDIA. At NVIDIA, I've been focused on VR, and I took a little break to work on Omniverse, just setting up Omniverse. And when it finally came time to start working on VR, when we were actually good enough with the rest of Omniverse, I joined that team, and I'm now working on that team to get Omniverse XR much better and much faster and capable of doing more things. And a few months ago, I texted our other friend here, Max. I wish I could show the text, but I'll read it out. I texted him, "I will hire you," in all caps, but I got the U wrong. I spelled it Y-U-O-U. And then his response was, "Yeah, yeah." And to which I responded, "Try me." And now he works for NVIDIA. And Max, I think you should introduce yourself, and then we'll take the rest.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Omer. Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Max, and I've just been in NVIDIA now for a little under a month. But before that, I just wrapped up 13 years over at Pixar Animation Studios, where I was a lighting artist and a lighting supervisor, working on practically every film since 2009. Most recently Lightyear, which comes out June 17th. And there was some time in between there where we actually did a little VR research at Pixar, and that's when I first met Omer. And so he sort of knows that I've kind of been dabbling in this for a bit, and especially from the perspective of both an artist who wants to use VR and a user who wants to be in VR, and working with other artists who want to be in VR. So I've joined the team as product designer, and I'm really excited to kind of figure out kind of who this tool is going to be for, how we're going to make it just something that everybody wants to use and can get something out of. And being able to do that with sort of how powerful Omniverse is and leveraging USD, those are a lot of ingredients that back when we were doing our research at Pixar that we're missing. And so it's awesome that they're finally here.
Yeah, I think the first few weeks that Max was here was like he was sending me Omniverse features. Like, did you know about this? Did you know? Why didn't you? Yeah, and so we're there's a bunch of stuff cooking basically based on Max's observations of things that we can use that we're not going to show today, but you're going to see soon.
Awesome. Okay, so that's a great introduction, and it's obvious why you sent that text. I'm glad he didn't delete it for spam, thinking it was some kind of scam. So it's so awesome to have you here, Max. All All right. So, what is Omniverse XR, and how what makes it so special? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah. Okay. So, um, Omniverse XR is an app for spatial computing. That is a client of Omniverse, and spatial computing is a really wide term. It's very hard to make specific, but also this field is just like that. So the thing that we do in Omniverse XR is we make connections to a bunch of um, VR and AR platforms. But under the hood, VR and AR are actually a lot of different input systems. So you can have trackers coming from like Vive systems, like one of those lighthouses and pucks. You can have other arbitrary game controllers and trackers. You can have the pretty standard Oculus headset trackers that you have over here. So we have connections for all of those, and they're programmable, so you can like make the things that you want to make with them. So for one obvious example that everyone has been asking for, and we've been trying internally, is doing this for virtual production. But the salient use case, the thing that's interesting right now is like where it's assembled for the first time in front of users, and that's using it for VR and AR, right? So the thing that we enable right now is you put on a headset, and you can be inside your 3D scene, or grab a tablet and you can just start streaming into your tablet a 3D scene, or you can compose as well. You do compositing with a live scene in front of you, so you get like AR through the tablet. So these are all things that are possible today through Omniverse XR, and I think that it's worth mentioning because most other VR applications that you have in the market today rely on two or three engines. Well, I would say media platforms, not necessarily engines. They're either relying on a major game engine, or they're relying on a web browser, or they're relying on a native toolkit like an Android or something like that. And we're different, right? So we're different from all of these. But I guess the best way to explain the difference is to start with why we're different from game engines. So first of all, um, I I have not seen many examples of ray traced VR, and we are shipping an application that does full ray tracing for VR. Now, why this is important is actually something that you need to experience to understand. Um, but I'll give you the short version. So I might share a video to do that. I think it's best. Um, which video should we use? Give me a second. Let's do
Use the best
let's
one.
act yeah. Let's I'll start with some of the reflection things that we're showing. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Um, nope. Back. Uh, hang on. Sorry about this.
It's okay.
Where is
And
my yeah.
anyone who's watching, definitely feel
Yeah.
free to post your questions in the chat for that either on Twitch or YouTube, and we'll get to those soon.
Okay, so here's my can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so what I find cool about this is, you're seeing right now, you're seeing reflections, ray traced reflections, from the perspective of VR, right? So what you're actually seeing is what your eye would see if you were staring at that car, and you would have those reflections returning back to your eye. Now, believe it or not, this thing was hard to do in VR up until recently. And the reason it was hard to do is because um, most rendering engines don't use ray tracing today. Don't use real-time ray tracing. They use rasterization, and rasterization requires some other tricks to do reflections. For example, one of the tricks would be to place a camera somewhere in the middle of the scene. That camera is really, really wide, and reflections from that camera are then being composed into your field of view in VR. That technique is very stable, so a lot of game engines prefer to use it. But the problem is, if you're a normal viewer, and your head is moving in a certain way, and reflections aren't moving the way your head is moving, that gets you confused, right? In that's normally called vection. Like a vection is the illusion of motion that your brain has. Um, and if you don't have that in VR, if your head motion isn't correlated with your reflections, that really messes you up, right? Gets you immediately nauseous. And so that is something that VR with ray tracing solves right away. So it has much higher fidelity, and it's kind of unbelievable. Another thing that's really not obvious at first is how you get soft shadows, right? So if you can see this touchgrass.mp4 that Max had created for me just before. So this is a small example that we have. Wait, I'll go back to touchgrass. Can I?
So
Yeah,
just
there we
really
go.
quick, the original videos I think are super smooth, right? This one looks a little jittery, but I think it's because the playback.
Possibly. But so I guess I'll show us some other videos in a second then. So the thing that you're getting there is soft shadows. So soft shadows are very hard to do in computer graphics other than ray tracing. They just require a lot of tricks. And soft shadows really help you understand things like how close you are to something, right? If you may sometimes get like false penumbras, things that are way too sharp shadows, as if a light is very far away, and that confuses you to how far your hand is from something, or how far like you are from the floor, or how far an object is from the floor. So generally speaking, like the realism that you get from ray tracing is not a bonus. It is really helpful. So that makes Omniverse XR really special. The fact that you can do ray tracing in VR. Another thing that makes it really special is that it can load gigantic scenes, like enormous scenes, in no time, right? So an asset with like 70 million triangles, we got loaded within 20 seconds or something like that, even less. We tried doing that in like one of the game engines. We kind of quit after 2 hours. So it
Wow.
was just like no, it was just too long to actually make a comparison. But like there is no, if you want to use production assets, like if you want to dive into a production asset, do some fixes, come back, that's kind of not possible in a pipeline where you need to optimize your assets first. And with Omniverse XR, you sometimes want to optimize your assets. Like there's nothing against optimizing assets, but you don't have to in order to see them. You don't have to in order to jump into them in XR. And the other thing that is kind of implied from what I said is because this is built on Kit, like the SDK that does creates all of the rest of the Omniverse ecosystem, it loads USD for editing. So editing is free, right? Every asset that you load, you can edit. So all of the Omniverse ecosystem comes with it. So if you wanna build assets in a different application, you can go ahead and do that, and then they can come back and you can use them in Omniverse XR. You can make some modifications in Omniverse XR, save them. Like if you move things around or things like that, you can save them, and other people can use your changes. And that's a huge difference in my mind. Yeah.
We have
Um,
one question that came up really quick is what kind of FPS are you getting?
hmm, Great question. How much do you need? We have 90. We have 90 because our headsets require 90. Um, I don't think that the limitation I don't think that we're limited to 90 right now. That said, this does bring a big topic up over here, which is um, generally speaking, we need to discuss bottlenecks. So I'm going to go through bottlenecks in a second, just describe like how it gets hard, how to set up your scene so it becomes a little easier. But generally speaking, yes, you can use VR with it, and like having 90 FPS is pretty much a prerequisite for that. So we're hitting 90.
Nice.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Very cool. Everyone who's watching, keep your questions coming. You have the experts here. And are we going to start talking about a little workflow, or how do you get
Yeah,
Omniverse
let's
XR,
let's
obviously?
let's do that actually. So how do you get Omniverse XR is a very easy question. You just go to the Omniverse launcher, and you look up XR, and you find XR over there. Um, and here's what it looks like. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the attic scene that we're used to, and over here, what we're looking at right now is we have this little VR menu, and we have a tablet AR menu next to it, and um, the VR menu contains a bunch of settings that we can talk about in a second. But generally speaking, this is your view, right? You have a stage view, you have a layer view, you have some render settings here along the side. And if you want to go into VR, you just click Start VR and it starts streaming into your headset. You can also go into AR mode just by hitting Start AR, and that'll stream into your AR tablet. And over here, you get the setting for you get like a little helper in the tablet AR menu to which IP you should be connecting to because it's going to ask you for your IP if you're using a tablet. Um, and in the VR mode, you'll have some other settings which we can talk about in a second. Generally speaking, the way this should work is it should be as simple as loading an asset as soon as you've opened it and hitting Start VR, and you're there. Like nothing more complicated than that.
So
There,
I'm sorry, when
hmm?
you want to connect your tablet AR, is there an app that
Hmm?
you need to download, like
Oh
onto
yeah,
your
sorry.
tablet?
Yeah, and that can be found in our documentation. So actually, if you just click the help button over here, that leads you to the documentation website,
Cool.
and it gets you into the Quick Start VR and Quick Start AR modes, and that'll also link you to the tablet. If you want to download a tablet application for iOS, you just go to the App Store for iOS. It's still called Omniverse XR Remote. We're going to announce a new name soon. Um, and if you want to go to the quick start for VR mode, it'll also show you everything that you need in order to get connected with an Oculus headset and with like a Steam VR based headset and so on. So all the instructions are there. All you need to do is hit the help button over here. That's why we set it up nice and big. Um, so I think the best thing to do next is actually to show a little bit of things that we've been building, or rather, Max has been building in the past 2 days. So I'm gonna switch to that for a second. Let's do that. That sound fine, Max?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, let's find that among my list of videos over here. Um, okay, so let me share my screen again. So let's do that. Can you see this?
Yep, I've got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, Max. So what's
Omer, turn off your camera. It's playing a little slow.
oh, okay. How's that?
It's still got some stutter to it.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before. I think so that happens sometimes when you play a video. So I wanted to clarify that for the viewers. So the videos he's playing and actually the experience that he's showing off is not stuttery. It's actually the video playback. So
Okay.
don't think you're going to get sick by checking out Omniverse XR. Anyway, that's just a
Okay.
technical issue.
I'm gonna switch. I'm sorry everyone. I'm gonna switch to a lower frame rate. Maybe that'll help. Give me a second. Um,
And by the way, so while you do that, we mentioned earlier about how to get Omniverse XR. So for anyone who's not familiar with Omniverse and the launcher, you can just go to omniverse.nvidia.com and follow the steps there to install the launcher. Make sure you meet the hardware. There's a nice link there for technical requirements and documentation. Um, but you can install the launcher there, and that basically from the launcher you can get everywhere in Omniverse, including tutorials by hitting the Learn tab. You can add stuff by going to extensions, and there will be actually some cool news on something we're doing with extensions very soon. I have to bite my tongue, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be stuff
The video is much
Wait.
smoother.
Yeah,
Nice.
It
great.
looks better.
Wait. So Max, what's going on here?
Okay, so like this is just a cool empty warehouse we have, and right here I'm just kind of playing around with the sunlight I have in here. So none of the lighting in this scene is baked. It's all in real time, as folks might know from other tools. Soft lighting like this with occlusion and indirect lighting, you normally have to bake, and and rebake it if you move your lights. But again, I can just move these lights around really easily. And then here I'm just dropping in this really sweet car model that we have and dropping it into my scene. And you can see right away, again, all of those super nice reflections on this car paint. And again, as I move it around the scene, all that occlusion, those soft shadows and hard shadows track with it. It's reflecting the skylight there as I move it around. And just generally out of the box, this looks super great and super complex. And then
the thing that really impresses me about this is like the context shadows are effortless. This is not normal. Like if you had to make context shadows like this in any other environment, you'd have to bake them.
Yeah, exactly. And so once that's dropped in, it's just as easy as hitting Start VR, and right away this scene is going to play back great. And so you'll see in the playback, you'll see the foveation that we're doing around the edges and all of that stuff you don't feel when you're actually in the headset. We keep all that detail crisp in the center of it.
Yeah, this is worth mentioning. What's happening over here is that you're seeing an optimization. The sides of the screen are rendered at a lower resolution than the center. This is to save some GPU for the center, so you can get better quality in the center of the image, right? So this is generally a setting that's worth keeping on all the time, because your eyes will notice the center of the image and less the sides. And I'll explain. I'll go through this in a minute, but just the workflow here is amazing. Sorry, Max, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no,
You're grabbing
no
stuff here.
Yeah, I'm grabbing stuff, and like Omar was saying, seeing ray traced reflections in VR is something that we haven't really seen elsewhere, and the presence that it adds to a scene is really, really awesome. All those previous sort of baked reflection methods or camera-based reflection methods that we had, they never really worked in VR, so it's really cool to have that working in here.
Wait, I wanna talk about this. So Max, how like you just took a bunch of like the marbles assets over here and you placed them in a stage. How long did that take you?
Yeah, so we jammed on this for just a few days, and this was finding all the assets from the marbles demo that we did. Was that last year, Omer, or year before?
Something like that.
And dropping these into a scene. And the big thing here again is kind of the no need to rebake any of this lighting or do anything like that. But this also really shows off our ray casting. And if you've built a VR experience and other tools, you're probably familiar with the need to build a nav mesh, which is what determines where somebody can teleport to in your scene. And again, that's another process that is normally baked or built with LODs. And so what's really cool in this demo is just sort of how quickly you can drop stuff into a scene and start to play around at it like a little jungle gym. And so
there's another thing that's special. There's another thing that's special in my mind in this. So the fact that you can land anywhere is cool. Like, I mean, this is like I really we're doing this in the style of the DHH demo of saying like, oh, look at the amount of things that I'm not doing. I don't need to bake a nav mesh and so on. But the thing that's interesting here is how quickly you can get to feeling things with your body. That's insanely fast, right? So if you're doing any CAD demo, if you're doing architecture, things like that, your proprioception, like how your body is posed next to these things, really matters, right? So now you're getting like a double whammy of realism here. You're getting both of the ability to drop into an object and feel it against you physically, and you can do this in different scales, right? You can change yourself from millimeters to inches. Oh, look at that Pixar lamp. And the other thing is, you're getting all those great reflections and soft shadows. So basically, there's no limitation for you to actually be feeling out the thing that you should be working on. And that's the amazing thing that I find in this app. I haven't found any quicker way to do just that.
Yeah, and again, so you can see I'm grabbing this marble and moving it around, and that shadow's changing with it. It's reflecting in the paint can. And again, I can move it and immediately teleport onto it right away.
So good. yeah, like the fact that you don't need to bake where you can walk, or you don't need to define it, and it's all happening real time in the place that you're working. We don't discuss that much as a feature, but it is a feature, right? The everything in the Omniverse ecosystem is an asset, but by being an asset, it's also a walkable surface, and it's also grabbable, and sometimes it has mass. So all the things that you're doing here are natural interactions in that way. And oh, I like how also how everything in the UI, including the controllers, are part of the global illumination process. So you just
Exactly.
showed your controller reflecting the lava over here. Uh,
And again, all that cast light coming up from this cheesy little lava pit, that's all that's not baked. And so like soft lighting like that, again, is something that we have always sort of dreamed of having in real time. And then you get all the fun effects of VR. I have this like, scary little walkway over here, and you can really feel the depth of this pit. And yeah, just having all these really complex objects and being able to immediately teleport onto them is really compelling.
But what I'm excited about is how realistic this all looks. You know,
yeah, it's awesome.
I, I mean, I've been playing VR games for a while now, and it looks cartoony. They all look cartoony, but this looks real. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that there will be a few years where people begin adopting this and putting this into the ecosystems. And this is not, like by no means are we anywhere late in VR. We're still early days. Like a lot of the controllers that need to be added. Some companies haven't joined the game yet. So there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to, and we're thinking, okay, what would you need to do if you were in a place that needed to use VR for work? Okay, do you actually need some of these things? And soft shadows, you really do need soft shadows pretty much right away. And you really do need reflections pretty much right away, right? For any realistic use case, you actually need these things. So, like I also am an avid VR gamer. I play Beat Saber. I used to exercise in Beat Saber. But this is for a professional use case kind of necessary. We need to have these tools. All right, let's talk a little bit about features and why we're doing certain things. Um, and I think the best place to start actually is to talk about optimization. So where would we start with optimization? I think the best. Can you guys see me? I think I'm going to do a short explanation on why we're doing optimization the way we're doing optimization. Um,
We're
He's gonna
ready.
do it.
yeah.
He's
We're
doing
ready.
it.
Uh,
He's got the
Oh,
whiteboard.
oh.
do you see
Go up,
this?
everybody.
So, yeah. So let's talk about foveation for a minute. So if you haven't heard the term foveation before, it comes from the fovea, the eye's fovea. So what's happening inside your eye? This is a very, very vague diagram of the eye. I'm actually going to try a little better than that. I can do better than this. Um, okay, good. So this is a normal eye, and then you have the cornea over here, and you have some nerves here at the back that receive an image, right? But it turns out that most of our nerves are actually concentrated in a small cone just about over here in the exact center focus of the eye, right? So this area, which is about 3 degrees wide, like in a solid angle, we call this the fovea, right? This is where most of the visual information that you guys receive when you just experience the world in your day to day. This is where most of it is concentrated. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? When you look at the real world around you, you don't tend to think about everything being sort of like low information, but that's because your brain is really good at completing a picture. So one of the surprising results in VR is that is actually really useful to focus the rendering in the correct place, right? VR needs to send a lot of images into your eye very, very quickly, um, and we need to do some tricks to get it to be that quick. So one of the things that we do is that we just take an image plane, right? I'm going to do my best in 3D drawing. I may be good at 3D rendering, drawing not so much. And what we do now is we're going to take that small section over here and translate it to what it looks like in an image, right? So we have this small segment of the image that you're looking at. That is actually what needs to be rendered in high resolution. The rest can be rendered in low resolution. So this is one of the things that we do inside Omniverse VR. A lot of other applications do this as well. Omniverse XR, sorry. A lot of other applications do this as well. We do this in a way that's a little smoother because in ray tracing, we can actually just add more rays to the center instead of doing any kind of like splitting of this image plane or anything like that. So it's actually there's a real advantage in using rays for this, right? So that's a really good optimization. But I want to talk to you about now, having done that, I want to show you how you can actually access and modify that inside the app. So I'm going to go to my little Omniverse XR app running over here. So if you can see my screen, you can see Omniverse XR up, and over here in our VR panel, you see that we have a bunch of options, right? So one of the options that you have is performance and quality. And inside performance and quality, you have foveation, right? Most of the time, you want to keep foveation on. So we left this option called warp foveation, which is what I described over here, on. Sometimes you want to remove it. And we actually have a little link over here to explain what happens in the cases that you want to remove it and why you would want to remove it, right? Because still, this is a beta app. A lot of the things that we're doing in rendering are not extremely tested in all scenarios, and we're still improving the rendering algorithms. So we left a little guide over here to walk you through when you would want to turn off foveation and what the cost is. Just as a ballpark, foveation saves you about 70% of rendering time, so you can look at much larger scenes. But sometimes, when, for example, you have grass in the periphery of your image, it doesn't look great under foveation. So some people might find that bothersome, so they can turn foveation off. Right? We're working on that. We're improving that in future versions, but for now, you have an option to remove foveation. Another thing I wanted to mention is we have these settings inside the performance and quality menu as well, which can help you optimize the quality of your image. So most of the time, generally speaking, you want to keep it unbalanced. And if you're moving fast enough and everything looks great, you might want to actually upgrade it to quality. Right, quality gives you a good amount of reflections, a good amount of shadows. It's generally a good setting if you want to look at an image and get a good impression of what it is. But sometimes you're in very, very heavy scenes rendering wise, right? So you might have a lot of glass or a lot of reflections, and things might stutter a bit, might be a little too slow. Then you can drop into performance mode, and performance actually takes all of the translucent materials and gets rid of them. So that's really useful for constructing things, right? You have a scene, you can't really view it in VR, so you move to performance mode, suddenly you can view it in VR. And it is actually very, very quick. So that's one option that we have left. I would leave the viewers to enjoy the other options with the great documentation that we wrote. So I'm not just walking you through this app over here, but I just want to highlight one more thing. You can shrink and grow yourself if you're going to a scene in VR that doesn't match your current scale, right? So let's say you're importing a scene that is in, I don't know, inches, right? A lot of CAD applications use inches as a base tool. I never understood inches. Sorry, non-American. And how would I find the king's thumb? And then so you can just go and open this, and what you do then is you apply the scaling factor override, and you're in the different scale that you want it to be in, right? So if you're in a model that's inches, typically our meter is units, so you can go and do inches. If we didn't happen to have your unit over here, you can just go and enter the conversion manually, and it'll apply the conversion, and then you can observe the scene the way that you wanted to observe it. generally speaking, this app should be useful for everybody. And if it's not useful for you, we really want to hear from you through the forums. Tell us what, if anything, is missing. I think so. I have about like 3 more hours of explaining the app that I could do. I think it's better
We'll
that
take
we
it.
take questions.
Yeah, we have a couple. So let me see. Somebody was asking about, could you use our application to actually make a game experience and publish it as a VR game? Which I think we see that question once in a while too. Like, what can you do with
Yeah.
Omni in terms of making a consumer product?
Yeah. So, I mean, I generally want, like, my general observation here is Omniverse is an ecosystem that can do many, many things, but games are very special. And if you want to use a game, if you want to make a game, game engines are awesome. So you can use the Omniverse ecosystem to do a lot of things. But as an avid user of Unreal Engine and of Unity, I can't recommend them enough. They're awesome. So you should give them a try. Unreal Engine works with Omniverse. You can import assets into it through Omniverse. You can export assets. So all the you don't lose much by using Unreal Engine this way, and you gain a lot because a lot of game features are just supported in Unreal Engine out of the box. So you don't have to do a lot of your own building. The other thing is if you do actually want to use Omniverse XR for prototyping some of these things, um, bear in mind that the main barrier right now that we have is USD is still um, is still an active development topic for us. Making USD fast is still an active development topic, which means we're going to expose over the next few years. We're going to make tools to make it faster. We're going to make a lot of scripting utilities that are specific to USD. This is not something that will be as robust and as easy for game developers to use as something like a game engine. So I recommend if you want to build a game, check out game engines, and they can still work with Omniverse, and they can do most of the things. They can give you all the savings that you were going to do that you were going to get with Omniverse anyway. They're going to give them to you. The rendering might not be as good as Omniverse XR in all game engines, but that is that is a reason to use Omniverse XR, which also requires having a strong GPU.
That's great.
It's,
Great answer.
I
Great
think
answer.
it's probably
Mhm.
also worth mentioning too that like as an artist tool, Omniverse XR is still applicable. If you want to try out ideas, um, if you're an artist working on a VR game and you want to separate yourself from maybe a very active development hard hat area in Unreal, but you still want to try out visually some ideas in VR, I still think this tool's great. Because like Omar said, if you're using USD, it should be pretty painless for you to move those ideas back and forth between Unreal.
That's great. That is awesome to know. Okay. Someone did ask, when can I rip bread in half in VR? Are volumes beyond just VDB files and flow yet?
Who asked this? I want to know the name.
You want to know who it was?
Muff,
It's
Okay.
the muffins
the Muffins
pie.
Pie. Muffins Pie.
This seems like a very baking oriented person.
Yes.
Damn. Okay, that's a good question. Um, okay, so physics engines, I guess, are a large component of this question, and in particular, some simulation of like ripping bread together. So there's actually there are multiple ways you can do that today, which are all like faking it a bit. Like you're playing a game, you're not actually simulating all of the fibers that are generated in the baking of bread. Um, and a lot of physics engines can actually do that. So like PhysX has some shatter capability, so you can actually pre-shatter a thing, and then by ripping it apart, it like that is a shatter. Um, if you actually want to do dough simulation, we've had some tools that do that. So like Flex used to do that. Flex does it, but in Omniverse we use a bunch of GPU simulated tools like this. So I'm not going to spoil it, but we have some other sessions about our GPU based simulated tools, and they can definitely simulate shear forces and do voxel based animation. So if you want to like tear the crust off and then you see the insides of the bread, or like you can replace any inner texture and outer texture with whatever you want. Like this, you can get on one hand a really nice Doom simulator, and on the other hand a really nice bread making simulator. Um, there are tools to do this. How they work with VR. Um, so in the next in the next releases, we'll have some updates that will help with that. I can't talk about them right now, but it's definitely on our mind to make sure that physics works great inside VR. And obviously, like the biggest boost that you get from using VR in terms of interaction is being able to use physics, like especially physics around your hand. So it's definitely on our mind, and we'll get to it eventually.
Very cool. Okay, cool. Well, other question that came actually the other day when I was speaking to someone about this upcoming live stream was it was from JS Films actually, who's been making some
Oh,
great videos on his YouTube channel.
yeah.
Big fan of VR. He
Is he
wanted to know
here
more
now?
about. He's not here because he
Okay.
has a gig during the day, so he's active at night. Um,
Damn. Shout out
but
JS Films. He's amazing.
he is awesome. So check out his channel, JSFILMZ on YouTube. So
Yeah.
he asked, in terms of content, what's available now, and are we going to be throwing more content in there for people to fool around with? I think that's he would love to dive in and make cool stuff, but he wasn't sure how much stuff was there yet.
Yeah, so I mean, we have some when you download Omniverse, any Omniverse, it comes with a mount, like a public mount.
Uh-oh.
Mic
Lost
drop.
him.
Mic
Homer.
drop.
I'm sorry, did my thing reset?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
You're
So
back.
Okay, you're back. You're back in action. That was a quick one.
the app just crashed. I watched it and it was gone.
It
It was the
Um,
happens.
muffin pie.
It
no, but
happens.
the beautiful thing is that it restarted, which is something that we don't do. And we should consider it. Okay, so yeah, so when you launch Omniverse today, it comes with a mount, right? Like, and the mount is public, so you just connect to it, and it gets you all of the NVIDIA public content, and you can browse it around. But the thing is, anything from your USD collection, anything from your Nucleus server, you can go and try in VR. And if it doesn't work in VR, this will surprise us, so let us know.
That's
But
awesome.
generally speaking, even the most basic, like place a wall in SketchUp sort of thing and make it human size and try it out. Because of ray tracing, a lot of these things are going to look surprisingly good, right? They're going to be extremely easy to set up. So I see a lot of people like with beginning material, and they're like complaining, it's like, oh yeah, it's a bit bland. I'm like, put a light in there, one light, try one. If you put a if like the thing that's crazy that Max showed is like, like Max obviously was a lighter at Pixar for many years, and so it's a bit of cheating for me to say, okay, try five lights, Max, like artistically place five lights and let's see what happens. But literally, the demos that Max showed right now had five lights. That's all. So if you try these out, the content is going to look amazing. It's just going to be realistically lit and it's going to feel nice. So try it. And if you're expecting more stuff to come, you can always go to, our partners at like any asset store that downloads that can have you download USDAs. I think that Turbo Squid is now one of them.
Yes.
And yeah, okay, so you can just grab assets from there and you can try it out. There's a bunch of stores that sell sell USDs or give free USDs. You can also convert from other applications and export USDs. But I don't think there's going to be a shortage of assets. But I will say we are working on some gyms, um, as in um, scenes that are going to be inspiring to play with in VR. and sort of learn what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And so we're going to publish a few of these, and they're going to be in a public mount, and people can try them out. And we would actually love to also get some like community contributions there. So if anyone wants to publish their own, like we would happily feature it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And Turbo Squid, speaking of Turbo Squid, will actually be on this live stream in I think June 15th.
Oh, cool.
So get your Turbo Squid credit. Yeah, they're an amazing partner.
Ooh, wow. That's cool.
Yes, that's gonna be fun. Okay, so someone did ask something, and this is a USD question. What is the difference between USD format and the USD-Z format used by Apple mobile phones for AR? Is it totally different?
So it's not totally different. It's actually, this is one of the things that USD is not like. Whenever I try to explain USD or Omniverse for that matter to anyone from the general public, I feel like there's a conspiracy theory board behind me, and like pointing at places. But USD in general is a fairly simple storage format, right? Like it stores a bunch of parameters in a structured manner. There's a variant of it called USDA, which just stores them as text. There's another variant called USD or USDC, which just stores them as compressed binary. And sorry, not compressed, encoded binary. And USDZ adds on top of it, it adds gzip compression, right? So the only thing that USDZ does that the rest of the ecosystem doesn't do is expect that this is going to be delivered somewhere and end up on someone's machine after having to go through a relatively thin pipe. So they add a compression to it, and they just added it to the standard because they thought, well, I mean, this is going to be a fairly common use case that we're going to send files to people. So they ended up adding it in. So all it does under the hood is just it opens up a gzip algorithm, it decompresses it, and it loads up the USD. And when it's done saving, it does the opposite thing. It like compresses the USD back to a zip format. So there's no difference. You can use these files interchangeably between parts of the ecosystem, and you can absolutely use anything that goes into that into AR on Apple. You can open it with Omniverse apps, no problem.
Very cool.
All right, I'm looking through. We had another question.
Yeah, no, I can speak. Like,
no, it's okay.
I was waiting on a prompt.
I was looking for the right question because I'm going back and forth. My head is all over the place. I mean, I have 4 different monitors you can't see right now, and I have Twitch, YouTube, and Discord. Okay, so this is a first time question from somebody. Is the foveated area something that would vary from person to person?
Excellent
or change
question.
with age? So, and how customizable is it?
Excellent question. Full disclosure, I am not an ophthalmologist. Having said that,
I don't know.
probably.
That eye diagram is pretty
That's-
convincing.
Yeah, that's pretty skilled right there.
Having said that, probably yes. So there's a bunch of things that actually affect, the fovea and generally how you perceive things. So, naturally, macular degeneration, like the degeneration of the macula, is something that will affect where in the fovea you actually get a significant amount of boost. But generally speaking, you're born with a certain amount of nerves, right? Like, and those so those don't increase. There are some other animals which have vastly different eye structures. Like an octopus's eye is very different from ours. It has a wider field of view. It is more sensitive, and it also doesn't have a blind spot. Ours, as humans, generally speaking, the society, I forget the name, like the Lighting Society of the United States had like a very strict definition of what exactly the fovea for film should be. And we're still following that, honestly. It's like 2 to 3 degrees. It's a solid angle of 2 to 3 degrees. And that's turning out to be pretty good. The thing that is surprising is if you increase that a little bit in VR, you aren't just robust to changing foveas between people. You're also robust to something called microsaccades, as in like if you're reading text and you're more or less in the center of the screen, your eye bounces around a little bit, but the fovea doesn't move too much. What it isn't robust to is macrosaccades, as in like your eye shoots ballistically to a different place and starts reading from a different segment, right? So like in that case, that area where you should be rendering a lot of pixels in changes. So with eye tracking technology, we can track where that change happens, and we can adapt our foveation algorithm to be like, hey, let's render more pixels over there. Let's not render in the center of a screen. Let's render in the side of a screen, and so on. And some headsets have support for it. We definitely have our eyes peeled, to no pun intended, on this to this. Like we are trying to follow that, and we will eventually um, have some way to add that into all of the ecosystem. I think that pretty much anyone who's doing VR has to take this seriously. That's why eye tracking has been added to all of the headsets, and this is something that will be very prevalent. We won't even think about the time that we didn't have it a few years from now.
Very cool.
That's
Okay,
interesting.
question from
Yeah.
Evolver. I think we showed this off earlier, but unless I'm misunderstanding, can we teleport to different areas in XR? I have a large warehouse and manufacturing environment, but
Absolutely. So you can use the teleport feature in which is just like the move forward. Um, if you look at the tutorial that Edmark, you can post in the chat. Like I published a tutorial on YouTube like yesterday. Um, uh, you can see some other options. Like you can move fast with your left controller by hitting the trigger, and you can get there. There is an option to have some waypoints that you can switch between them. Currently, that's only available through programming. Um, but generally speaking, we have a teleport function, which just lets you move between places in in VR. It's accessible via code, so anyone can access it and
sweet.
teleport some places just with the USD path.
Okay, here's a question
Mhm.
from Amir. Any plans for developing a web AR solution in Omniverse?
We're So I know very little about the Web AR standard. I need to do some research. Generally speaking, we would like to make the Omniverse ecosystem as open as possible, and to have it as accessible as possible. So while I don't have an answer for that, there will be a way to have very easy access from anywhere uh, directly into Omniverse XR. That should be something that we're pursuing. That it is very much in line with the NVIDIA way of doing things.
Okay, and Evolver actually followed up saying he's looking for like a waypoint system for teleporting.
So teleport would be the Python function to try. I don't have the code base in front of me, but we can follow up on the Discord XR channel if
Cool.
we.
Speaking of which, that's a good plug because we do have an Omniverse Discord channel for XR. And the Discord server name is very simple. If you haven't been there yet, it's discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse. And of course, we have our forums. If you do a search for NVIDIA Omniverse forums, it's going to come up right away. And we do have an XR section there, I believe, also.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Yep.
So Omar is very active. I'm sure he's active on the forums because you have to be if you work here. But he's also volunteers his time on the Discord. Discord is more of a place for the users to engage with each other and chat stories. But we do sneak some engineers in there to help out. So, but for official support, you should use the forums because we have our help ticketing system and bug tracking software is integrated with the forums. And obviously, it's not with Discord for many reasons. But okay, so there is that. Now we're at about the hour mark. We are having a lot of fun. We're getting some good questions here. We have a couple options. We could continue on. Omar, Max, if you want to go over anything we might have missed, if you want to show anything else off, or we could bring the party over to Discord and jump in the community voice chat channel. And anyone who's watching can jump on over to the Discord server, and you could talk live, show your face if you want. And ask some of your questions that we didn't get to cover in this live stream. So we have what's the consensus here? What do you
I
three
think
want to
let's hang out with everybody.
Yeah, let's hang out.
do it? All right. So
All
the
right.
party is moving platform. So we're going from Twitch and YouTube over to Discord. So again, that address is discord.gg /NVIDIA Omniverse. And as a last minute plug, let me see. We have next week, we have a live stream that's currently planned. So fingers crossed on Modulus. I'm not even supposed to say it out loud because we're not fully marketing yet, but I just don't tell anybody. So hopefully we'll have that team next week, followed by the week after. We're going to go over the machinima workflow with Benny D, who's an amazing cartoon animator. And
I just like hanging out with him. Yeah, he's
he
an
is
awesome
amazing. So Wendy and I got to hang out with him with Real Illusion actually.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, and so that live stream is available if you want to watch it on YouTube or NVIDIA On Demand. And he'll be back, and he'll show us exactly how he makes his cartoon animations work and working with machinima. Okay, I think, and then as I mentioned earlier, there is a Computex presentation tonight by Richard Karras, and I got the time in front of me this time. It's at 8 p.m. Pacific, so that is 11 p.m. Eastern, and bedtime for everyone who's in Europe. But if you're going to be awake, it's called A New Era of Digital Twins and Virtual Worlds with NVIDIA Omniverse. Oh, yeah. And that's sure to be an amazing presentation. Richard Karras is one of the leads here on the Omniverse team, and is always chock full of great information and inspiration to people using the Omniverse platform. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, we're going to head over to Discord. So anyone who wants to come on over. We're going to be in the community voice chat channel. And I would like to thank Omer, Max, Wendy.
Thank you, Edmar.
Thank you.
And I can't forget about our furry deformable, who I saw made a little appearance there.
He did show up.
The Omniverse cat, Jasper. So he was right on cue. So thanks, everybody. Hopefully you can join us over on Discord now. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.